All right, hi everybody. This is Karin Pindle or KP. Thanks for joining our monthly Eloqua User Group meeting. We've got an awesome agenda for you. Just really quick, I've been doing this Eloqua User Group since the pandemic started. We really wanted to make sure everybody could still get together. I'm sure others doing the same thing, but thanks for choosing to join today and share your time with us. I've been using Eloqua for the last 15 years, and at Sojourn, we consult on it, and Marketo and Pardot. But anyway, Eloqua is still something near and dear to my heart. I used to work at Eloqua, and what's more near and dear to my heart and why I work so hard is life outside of work with my pets, hiking places like this in upstate New York with my pups and my partner, girlfriend. Feels weird to say partner, whatever. Okay, here's our agenda. I'm going to do a quick poll. Hopefully you'll find some humor in it. And then we'll go into some really quick reminders related to Eloqua. Then Tamina from Oracle's product management team is going to go through a peek at the 20D release coming out in November. It's not exactly a sneak peek anymore since the product team actually did a webinar on it. I think it was Tuesday earlier this week. And then Tamina is going to kick it over to John. He's one of the solution engineers on the Oracle team. He's going to go through Infinity so you can learn a bit about that and like use cases when you would even want to consider using Infinity and how it integrates with Eloqua. And last but not least, we'll end with an open forum. So if you have questions, please feel free, pop them in the Q&A. We'll keep an eye on them. And then if you want, you can let me know over chat. If you want to actually ask your question at the end of the call, we can certainly do it that way. And if you want to share any tips, please feel free to do that at the end or type them in. And this is being recorded, so maybe don't swear, I don't know. And then we'll send the recording out to you. So if you can't stay the whole time, no worries. If you want to share it with your kids, that's cool too. That'll probably put them to sleep. But, all right, so quick poll. It'll help us get to know each other, but let me do my first question, which is the most important one. What are you going to be for Halloween? So are you going to be Tamina? Are you going to be me? I think that's funny when people dress up as like a family member when they go to a Halloween gathering and they dress up as somebody that's at the party. Did that once, but I'm not dressing up this year. Are you going to be Larry Ellison, Trump, Biden? There's always those people that do the slutty something, like a cat. Why? I don't know. Whatever.
Karin, I have a sister who looks almost like me, and I think she and I could dress up like one another, and people still wouldn't know that we dressed up like one another.
That's funny.
Even her kid get us mixed up.
Yeah. I have two sisters, and my mom called each of us the other's names most of our childhood, but we got used to it. So I respond to Kelly and Chris, not just Karin or KB. All right. Well,
I think parents do that regardless of whether you look alike or not.
Exactly. Yeah.
My brother and I look completely different, and he has brown hair and brown eyes and olive colored skin, and so we look totally different, and my parents still do that.
It must be just a thing. I'm sure the parents on the call are like, yeah, we just get tired and we call you whatever we want. All right, looks like most people are not dressing up. That's cool, I get that. I'm actually not going to any parties. Tennessee is a hotbed for the virus right now, so we don't really go out much besides our yard. Superhero is the second winner. That seems pretty classic. Nobody's being a slutty anything. That's interesting. It's surprising a little bit. All right, let's move on. I'll stop sharing those results. And my next poll question is, how long have you been an Eloqua user, if you are an Eloqua user? Some people attend these Eloqua user group meetings who are thinking about getting Eloqua to get a feel for how crazy we are and if they want to become an Eloqua user or not. All right, I'll give it just a couple more seconds. Tamina, in answer to your quick question, yes, I will stop sharing my video when I'm presenting and then you can share yours. Okay, it looks like most of you are less than a year or between 1 to 3 years. Actually, scratch that. Here, I'll show you guys. Share the results. So most are less than 1 year, 36%, and then it's tied exactly for 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, 5 to 7 years. And there's some old folks here who have used it for 7 to 9 years. I think there's myself, 10 plus. I didn't vote because that makes me sound old there. Oh, speaking of voting, if you're in the United States, please vote. All right, and then let's move on away from the poll. I had one more question, but let's skip it since I'm talking too much as it is. All right, thank you guys for doing that. Have a safe Halloween for those that do celebrate it. And let's go to the important reminders here. So if you didn't know, Eloqua is moving to Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI as it's called. There's more details, but I just wanted to highlight when is this going to impact you? So it's based on what Eloqua pod you're on. So pod 7 and 6 go first. Like 7 actually went, was that last Friday? So if you didn't know, there are some changes that you need to do on, usually it's your IT's end, to make sure your Eloqua instance is not disrupted. So I will share the link right here. Let me just show you where it goes to. If you need any help with it, your Oracle rep can point you in the right direction. I would say reach out to Oracle support to get a quick handle.
And to add to that, when we go with each pod, we actually are contacting anybody who may need to make changes. But basically, if customers are using and pointing their microsites to an A record, we're actually asking them to change it to a C name record. If they can't do that, we do have some IPs that will be new for them to point to if they're using SFTP type situations, or if they've built an app and are pointing that app somewhere. So as we get to each pod, we will be emailing specific customers that we know need to make changes. So just
Perfect.
realize that should be coming, but we will also be posting the information. And once again, if you need to go to support to ask, support will probably not have anything for pods 1 and 2 yet, because we finished up 7, so now we're going to focus on pod 6.
Perfect. Yeah,
which is in our Amsterdam pod.
Okay. Yeah, pod 1 and 2, that's, the numbers kind of make it sound, that was a lot of the earlier clients of Eloqua, typically, not always, but that's June, just to give you guys a time frame. So if you're on pod 1, you're like, oh shit, I shouldn't be swearing. Anyway, it's June, right? You've got time to work on that. And to Mina's point, Oracle is sending out the communications. And I just pulled up really quickly. They've done a nice job, the Eloqua product team, putting together an article about what this change means. So I actually have the wrong link in the PowerPoint. I'll update that. All right, and then the next thing, speaking of webinars put on the product team, so if you, like I said earlier, they actually put on a full webinar about 60 minutes about the Eloqua new release coming out in November, the 20D release. So if you want even more details than Tamina's going to go through today, you could always watch that recording. And they do other webinars as well, not just about releases, but about best practices and just tips that are really helpful, I think, as an Eloqua user. Last but not least, actually it is the least important, we're doing another webinar in December. We've got a series going of trying to help Eloqua users and people thinking about getting Eloqua understand how you can use Eloqua with other Oracle CX marketing solutions. So this one is about Eloqua sales tools and DataFox. So it's only half an hour. We're trying to make it short, sweet, right to the point, no BS. There's a quick demo of the tools. So anyway, that one's coming up. You can register for it now if you want. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing, talking. Tamina, the floor is yours. I think I'm going to.
Okay. Let's see.
Pull up Zoom. There we go.
Let's see. So I put a link in the chat that just says all PM driven webinars. Oh, that brought me to the wrong page. Let me see. There we go. Here's the right. I put the link in the chat where Karin referred to, free webinars where we go through different recordings, roadmap, etc., and also just some best practices. So Karin, I can't actually start. I can share my screen. I just can't start my video. I just figure people might want to see me, and that's okay if they don't.
Yeah. Let me make you a host. I think that'll do it. You're a panelist, but
Yeah.
suck at Zoom, basically. You might be able to do it now because you're a host.
There we go.
Ah,
I thought I'd wave and say hi to people, and you can see who I am and who's talking to you today. Coming from my office that wasn't necessarily an office at the beginning, but has been converted over time onto things. So my goal today is to go over the Eloqua release. We did go through this in detail the other day, but since we're a smaller group, I'm going to go through things quickly to then let us take some time to talk through pieces that you may have questions on. We have our safe harbor statement because this is all being released in November. We're pretty good on schedule. So this is the pod you're on. If you're not sure what pod you are on, I'm thinking of those who have less than a year experience. It's in the URL where you would see 01, 02, 03, 04, 06, 07. 07, just so you know, pod 7 is in Australia, pod 6 is in Europe, pods 1, 2, 3, and 4 are in North America. And so most of you on the call will probably be 1 through 4. Once again, this shows you how to determine your pod number to know which pod you are on. Also, we have done a move in top liners. First off, you're going to see the new Redwood designs that all of Oracle products are moving towards. But you'll also be able to find the type of information you were looking before. So if you had something bookmarked, it should redirect to the right page. But we do have a release center where you can find all this information and recordings, product notices, etc. We also have supplemental release resources that you can find on the Oracle release sites. Once again, if you had these bookmarked before, they should still be available. We also have them linked in the Release Resource Center. A key item on the right over here is the developer release notes. These are for our very technical users who are interested in APIs. Every release, we do have specific notifications on what's been changing there for all of you. We have a bunch of product notices. These are things that we think are significant for our customers to know. As Karin pointed out, we do have one about our move to the OCI data centers, and then some other things around like bulk API. So notice it says apps, a new public IP address for pod 7. We'll have the same type of link when it comes up for pod 6, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and related to the OCI data center. And just as a reminder, if you're using Microsoft Dynamics, there's some new authentication that needs to happen with Microsoft Dynamics. So just getting into the release information. First off, I mentioned this idea of Redwood theme. All of Oracle's products and their website are all moving to this new theme that we call Redwood, standardizing on a common look and feel and pattern that's coming through. So what you'll see in 20D is a new login screen, which you can see here, and the new My Eloqua page. We'll be working the next year or so updating screens to be the new Redwood. We aren't changing functionality significantly. There's a few things that we're going to make easier, like the upload wizard. But the goal is to streamline the product look and feels across all the platforms, and you're going to start to see that within 20D. As we get into some bigger changes, what we'll plan on doing for our that some of our larger customers need is to allow them time to make any training document changes, education changes that they have for their own internal purposes before releasing it to the customers. So more of this will be coming in the future, but we don't want to shock anybody when they see a new My Eloqua page and other things coming through. We introduced form archiving in May, and we're introducing email archiving in November. And within that, you'll be able to archive all the individual emails. As a preview into something upcoming, we're going to add the capability of doing what's called folder archiving for emails and forms. So that should come in February, where you'll be able to archive by folder. I'm purposely not using the word bulk, because bulk could give a different connotation, but you would be able to archive the entire folder. Another thing that we're starting to bring forward is a view-only work, and I'm realizing this is a very pixelated image right now that shows your branded image and application domains. Some of you may not be using branding, and some of you may be using branding, and this will actually allow you to see what you're using so that you're not having to call support. Why this is important, it gets into some changes that browsers are continuing to getting tighter on having things be secure. And one of those happens to be around image and application domains, specifically image domains. They want to make sure that your domains, all the links in your emails and landing pages are secure. So this is not new, but this is a reminder that you can secure your branded image and application domains. If you are not using branding, all your links are secured by default. So we're just highlighting the importance of securing your domains, and especially if they are unbranded secure. One thing that has happened in a lot of our lives is we're joining more digital meetings, and we have a new Oracle Zoom app that allows you to integrate that right on the canvas, which includes integrating both meetings and webinars. And so there's a lot of functionality coming out in 20D with the new Zoom app, as people are using that as part of their orchestration and event workflow. We also have added functionality within our RSS app, which allows for that translation of view story and a few other translation and reading experience benefits. We have a cloud app canvas step permission. So this new permission is available that controls which users are able to add a new or edit an existing cloud step. This was a blocker for some of our people trying to move to the new CRM integration because they only wanted certain people to be able to add or edit this step. So this new permission brings in that capability for our customers to give those permissions to the different users. So I'm going to go through these next very quickly. We have a Salesforce CRM integration. We have what's also the Salesforce native integration. For those people using the Salesforce native integration, we want you to move to the new app integration, which is a better user experience. It's cleaner, it's faster. You've got that speed to lead that you're looking for. So in 20D, we've released a lot of new capabilities that are helping our customers migrate over to this new app integration. So that's the premise. I'm going to be on each of these slides 5 seconds or less, just so we have more time to chat. But just know that within this app, you're going to be able to subscribe and unsubscribe contacts with different marketing activities. This is a parity feature from the native integration. We also are giving the idea to do pick list syncs from Salesforce to Eloqua. This is in, once again, a native integration parity feature, one of the things that we're stopping people from moving over to the new app-based functionality. Additionally, sending blank field values to Salesforce. So once again, another parity feature, but it also helps to maintain that data integrity. This happens in that action area, so you can now choose not to pass blank values to Salesforce, where before sometimes those blank values would come and overwrite things. So another user experience thing around hidden connections. So it'll display those visual indicators for those hidden connections where sometimes you didn't realize what is everything that's syncing with my CR or with Eloqua from CRM. Another one being grouping errors by type. So once again, being able to, instead of having all errors listed out, being able to say, hey, there was an error with, in this image, you see the campaign being updated. There's some errors, let's just group them, and then you can drill down into the details. Also mapping Salesforce URL to Eloqua with the large text data types. Once again, this is an integration parity feature. Getting into apps ownership under the account model. So you can use the account ownership tab to see owners for an account. This, once again, just helps along with all of this other pieces of information with CRM integration. Now we do have a native integration update, which now has priority added. So the reason these were made is if there are errors related to any hidden connections. As we mentioned with the new app integration that I talked about a couple slides ago, we were going to show errors related to hidden connections. We are now also showing some of that within the native integration. So you can view those errors by type and right here within the native integration as well. And also those priority features. So some of you may not know what clickjacking is. It's something nefarious that goes on the web where you put a link in, somebody clicks on it, and it actually is able to grab privacy type information and give what's the word I'm looking for? Viruses on your computer, nefarious things going on. Not going to get into the details of clickjacking, but one thing we want to make sure is that we prevent sales tools from being part of that clickjacking. As I mentioned, browsers are constantly changing and hackers are getting smarter. So we're constantly looking at ways that we can update update the security with our own platform and product. So once again, we're doing this with sales tools. So you have that allow list of domains that can host and embed sales tools. So there will be a product notice right here. So look for that product notice page that'll give you all the details that you need on that, on how to protect sales tools if you're using that. We also brought some enhancements into our insight area, with some new subject areas, including account activity. So we've continually been trying to update ways that you can report and understand the accounts that are going on within Insight. And so we've added that. We've also added that email asset archiving status. So as you're looking in Insight, being able to see things that have been archived, and new attributes available for advanced intelligence add-on subscriptions. So our advanced intelligence feature, I'll talk about shortly. We've also had some issues where customers have found that they have stuck records on their campaigns, and it's specifically related to apps. So we've spent a lot of time in many releases looking at stuck records. Why do they get stuck and what's happening with that? So we have created new statuses so that our customers know what's happened and why it's happened, so that we can actually help you resolve things quickly, but you can understand if there's a reason why something is happening. For example, if you put the new Zoom app on your canvas, you push go, and then you had everybody stuck in the Zoom app, being able to show you, an invalid app configuration. And being able to define to you, hey, something was misconfigured and this is why everything is stuck. So we are continually investing in this and trying to help things be more scalable and reliable for our customers. So we also have a bunch of API enhancements. I'm going to run through these quickly as well, because actually there's some good stuff right after the API. So those of you that may be tuning out, just know I've saved the best for last. So we do have a new API related to account to user linkage. This is specifically part of that CRM user ID. This will help with some of the CRM integrations. Because we've added email archiving, we've also added an email archiving API endpoint, being able to help manage the archiving functionality there. So you can do programmatic archiving instead of having to always be in the application. This is one that I think is important for customers to know. We have created a brand new API related to batch processing of forms. So if you're bringing in form submits via an API, we have a new batch option coming in 20D in November, where you can process form submissions in payloads of 500 at a time. These are customers that are not necessarily doing it, capturing forms using our external integration with the form and sending it directly to the form. These are people maybe capturing form submits in another way and processing them all via the API. There's improved scalability, improved reliability. Things aren't going to type out. When there are errors, there's complete visibility into it where there were problems before. And also our form submit app that many people use is currently using this new API to process all forms as part of that batch form submit process. So this is something that I actually helped work on. It may be more on the technical side of things, but it was a way to help alleviate errors and frustration from our customers who are using our APIs in this way. Also have a new email deployment type where you can send emails up to 2,000 contacts per request. You can send HTML instead of having to specify an existing Eloqua email. So those needing to do some type of email deployments have a new way of being able to do that via the new email deployment type. And then we have a new bulk API endpoint. This is helpful once again within the new CRM integrations. But when we create this bulk API sync, definitions here will now be validated. And previously we just tried to execute syncs with known invalid definitions. So once again, we've made a lot of effort to make things more scalable and reliable related to our APIs. Once again, we have a platform notice, but go to the developer changelog to see all the information related to that. So I went through that quickly, knowing that we had a lot of people that probably are not using our APIs. But if you heard something, you think, hey, that might be something we could use. Let me go talk to the technical person on our team. Good things to review there. So as I mentioned, saving the best for last, we have now released an advanced intelligence add-on subscription. This is an additional cost, but it is how we're going to be releasing a lot of our net new capabilities related to advanced intelligence. So if I use the word AI, I'm not using artificial intelligence. I'm using Eloqua's AI SKU being advanced intelligence. The 4 pieces being send time optimization, subject line optimization, account intelligence, and fatigue analysis. And this is available now with more functionality coming in our 20D release. So our send time optimization will be GA and be part of our advanced intelligence SKU. With 20D, new things that are coming will be additional tabs in contacts, display times, visual ability to measure open rates and click-through rates. And once again, this is now generally available for all those who with the advanced intelligence subscription. We also have subject line optimization. This helps predict if a subject line will go above or below average for a given site. This is site detailed information. We're not looking across all of our customers. This is specific to your emails and your specific installs so that we know with and give you some accuracy on how well that subject line is going to be received by customers. The goal here is that improving of email open rates because we're giving a subject line that is going to have an above average performance. We've also introduced this idea of contact fatigue status. So the interesting thing about contact fatigue is we're looking at contacts in your install and the level of engagement they've had based on how much you're sending emails to. So this contact fatigue segmentation will help you avoid customer burnout and disengagement. So with this feature and the power of AI, you can identify how fatigued your customers are so that you can change your message frequency to reduce that disengagement. You want to minimize opt-outs. So what you see in the screenshot here are the different levels of engagement that we are putting on a different contact field. So being able to capture that, you can choose to exclude or include people based on the type of engagement that's there. Once again, this is going to be on a contact field. So because it's on a contact field, you're going to be able to leverage that in segmentation. You'll be able to leverage on decision rules and orchestration. It'll help you in ways in personalizing. It also is available in the scoring section and also being able to see things in our analytics area. And once again, this is an algorithm based on how much are you sending and how are they engaging so that you can continue to target those people who are engaging and maybe help close the deal a little bit quicker, where those who may be oversaturated, you may want to slow down your cadence with them. We also have account performance dashboard enhancements. So we do have an account dashboard that goes with, that has been released, and within 20D, we're bringing in more information around top accounts by engagement score. So once again, we talk about the contact fatigue. We're also bringing in this idea of engagement on whether they, how engaged they are, sorry. So this, so that you as a marketer can determine whether you're improving, not improving on how you're engaging with your contacts. So inside of this dashboard in Eloqua, you will be able to show that individual account level and what is calculated for that engagement score with that account. We'll show the many aggregate activities within that time period that the account has, so you can start to see how they engaged. We'll also show you how many engaged contacts exist in the account. This is just a mock-up, so 328 seems like a lot of engaged contacts for one account. Some of you may have much smaller account sizes, but it also shows the timeline of the engagement and top assets and campaigns. So the big aspect of intelligence here is the engagement score and the visibility. Wanting to show that you can use this account engagement within segmentation as well. So you not only have the engagement score, but you can now leverage it within segmentation. We do have a webinar happening. It's actually happening right at this time, but if you go to that link, and I'll put that link in the chat, we'll be posting the recording there, and you'll be able to see more information around that B2B intelligence. So once again, we do have our Release Resource Center. I'll put all these links in the chat. Also letting you know, we have more than just Eloqua master's degrees. And within our education, there's also an operations master, execution master, creative master, insight master, and then other responses categories. We also have a free, what's called Eloqua Explore course. And I can put the link in for that chat too. So you don't need a subscription page to do that. I actually did the Explorer course myself just to make sure that I got, can pass that basic functionality as well. And I'm working on my other master's courses because they have new master courses from when I went to it. So I know that was like about 20 minutes, Karen. So I tried to move fast, but as questions come in the chat, I'm happy to answer them. But also if, as we get to the Q&A at the end, I'm also happy to take questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Tamina. And just from being an Eloqua user for a long time, guys, I can't, recommend enough, and from working with clients and seeing people struggle, but then also do really well with Eloqua and similar platforms. I highly encourage you to do the training, but also to keep up with the releases. Like, this is awesome. Tamina just went through this. If there's a month where you can't attend, hear it firsthand, or watch the recording, then at least take a look at those notes. They do a really good job, better than a lot of the other competing platforms, of keeping the documentation concise. The videos are great. So kudos to Tamina and her team for doing that, which helps you as a user to keep up. Like, I know you have a ton of stuff going on in your job, but if Eloqua is a part of your job, it's really on you to keep up with the latest functionality and take time to do that. So I'm going to stop talking now. So John can take over. John is on the sales engineering team on the Oracle CX marketing umbrella of Oracle. And again, he's going to go through Infinity. So let me stop showing.
Right.
Face.
Thank you. Thanks, Tamina. All right. Thanks, Karen. And let's make sure that we share the right screen and we can get going. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, perfect. I forget that I'm on a webinar and not an actual interaction. So I'm asking for feedback I'm not going to get. All right. So first thing I wanted to just touch on. So we're demoing the integration between Infinity and Eloqua. And this really does empower a bunch of really unique use cases. One, because the data is coming in from your websites and from your mobile applications in real time. And so we're able to track data more granularly. And that enables us to advance down the road of marketing maturity. And it enables specific functions that really enable you to provide a more responsive experience for your users. It enables you to respond to behaviors that are more difficult to collect in Eloqua, such as a form abandon, when a user starts to fill out a form, but then they don't submit it, or they begin to watch a video but don't complete it. Those are the kinds of things that you can track across all of these applications, all of your applications, all of your channels, whether it be mobile or whether it be on your website. And you're able to ultimately short circuit, really jump up to a life cycle engagement where you're delivering a unified experience across all of those channels, and you're able to create some lifetime value with customers through the experiences that they have. And so, and the way that we do that really is by enabling some very specific functions. So we're able to retarget on specific behaviors. we're able to segment more granularly on engagement. So we take it beyond just page views, and we're able to see how much time someone has spent on a page, how far down a page did they scroll. And that's important because with Eloqua, for example, if you have multiple products that you sell and you have pages for each, with Eloqua, we can see whether someone has visited a page. But if you have multiple products and they visit all of the pages in their investigation of your products, then you don't really know which product they're interested in. But if you know how far down they scroll or how much time they spend on a specific page, then you do know where their interest really lies, and you can begin to more specifically engage them with that product. And ultimately, we're able to connect marketing and service. So the way that this is done, for example, is imagine someone is coming to your help page or your support page, or even contact us. You're able to respond to that engagement more quickly. And as I said, if they don't submit the form, but they begin to fill it out, perhaps someone visits a support article, but they don't create a support case online if you have the capacity to do that. Well, we're able to retarget them, and we're able to solicit some response on whether or not they got the help they needed or got the information they needed. And as you all know, Oracle has a lot of applications that come together to make our Oracle Marketing Cloud. But these two applications specifically working together really cross the entire gamut of our life cycle of our marketing maturity. So by implementing just these two applications, you're able to really, really get ahead in a number of different areas. And so I touched on why that's different. And given that we have such a short amount of time today, I won't go into this very specifically. But again, just to highlight, all of the data is in real time. So you're able to retarget right away. All of that data is stored at the individual level. So we're able to understand which visitor is doing what, and we're able to use that to drive personalization for those visitors. And we're able to do that across channels. So regardless of whether they're interacting with you via email or they're interacting with your website or your mobile applications, we're able to utilize this data and we're able to retarget them. And so the way that that's done is really by looking at everything that someone is doing on your site and then feeding that back into Eloqua or your other marketing applications for reuse in your Eloqua campaigns. So imagine if you could understand where a contact is in their content journey through your site. And this is a customer of ours that is interested in Infinity, and I just did this demo recently. And one of the things that's cool about their site is they have a lot of content on this site. There's they run blogs and they run webinars, and they have all of the videos in order on the site. But they don't have a way of understanding how much of a video someone has watched. And that can be used in a number of different ways, but for them, they want to use it in order to understand the next time someone comes to the site, which video should they show them. Well, you could use it in other ways as well. And so if, for example, someone has watched only 25% of the video, maybe you want to retarget them with an email and send them that same video. Or maybe you want, if they've watched 50 to 75% of the video, you want to send them the next video via email or retarget them in that way. Also, as I mentioned before, if they've only scrolled halfway or maybe 25% down a page and spent 1 second on the page, they probably didn't want to visit that page or didn't find anything interesting there. And so you wouldn't want to retarget them with that exact same content. And so now you know they're not interested in that product. And so you're able to do all of these things, capture all of this event information, and you're able to create segments based on a more granular level of detail. And those segments are fed easily into Eloqua, and I'm going to show you how we do that really quickly. So what you'll see here on this screen is an infinity tag that's firing on this screen, and it's collecting all of the engagement that I have across this site. So as I navigate through these pages, I'm able to collect all that information. And so if I were to begin to fill out a form to request a demo, for example, not only am I collecting the fact that I have visited this page to collect the demo, but it's collecting the data that I'm entering into these fields. So I'm going to enter in some of the information, right? But I'm not going to submit the form. Okay. And so I'll navigate away from this now and move to, another page. And so this would work for you on your sites as well in the very same way. And so then I'm going to go into Infinity, and I'll show you what it's collecting in real time. And so you can see that it's pulling in all of the information around the pages that I visited, and it's able to take a look at the content groups. So what content have I viewed? And here are the URLs to the pages, and here's the scroll depth of each. So you can see that I was really interested in this car dealer success story, and I visited that page and that form, and it collects the data that I filled into that form, and then it feeds that into the fields in Eloqua that are mapped, that I've mapped to those specific collections. And so that helps me do things like retarget them on a specific solution of interest. One of the cool things about how this works is that you don't have to create a segment for the data that has been fed into Eloqua. We have an active listening feeder that is listening for those changes and will qualify those contacts for the campaigns based on their specific behavior. And it will include the data that has been fed into that form. And so I'm able to just passively listen for specific behaviors, and then I'm able to include them in the campaign as I normally would. So in this case, it's a product campaign, and I'm listening for, say, watched 50% of a video, or scrolled more than 50% down one of my product pages. That will automatically feed those contacts that perform those behaviors into this feeder, and then I can navigate them through. So for example, if they will check to see if they're subscribed to email. If they are, then we'll send them an email on their specific interests. If they're not, we can retarget them on LinkedIn or Facebook or elsewhere. And so that is how really easy it is to include contacts that are navigating and performing specific behaviors on the site in Eloqua campaigns. This is a pretty tight integration, as you can see. Additionally, the same thing works for a form. So when someone has filled out a form, or they begin to fill out a form, we can take the data that they have entered, and we can utilize that data and really just basically trigger on the fact that they engaged with the form at all. And so we'll take what they did enter, we'll utilize that. Maybe they entered their first name like I did. So we're able to respond to the fact that they engaged with that form, and then retarget them for some additional help. And this is helpful for blog posts, or for subscription to a blog, or it could be requesting help, or as in the case of our demo, requesting a demo. So all of those things can be just included. You can combine them with other segments. So we have, for example, in this case, someone who considered subscribing to the blog or they subscribe to the blog, but also other campaigns and other segments within Eloqua. And so that makes it even more flexible to include folks who are exhibiting specific behaviors in our campaigns. And it really is a very straightforward way to utilize more granular behavior on your sites. So take you back into Infinity now, and we can look at some of the other things that Infinity is able to do. So not only am I collecting, all of the information in real time across all of my web pages and my mobile applications, but I also can track adoption in those applications. So if you have, say, a SaaS application, or you have a mobile app, we can actually track the engagement on specific features. So imagine if we're able to understand product adoption. We're able to understand which features our customers are using and which ones they are not. Which behaviors lead to success or lead to renewal. So if you understand your customers are, the customers that adopt specific features tend to renew with your product, well, that's really great information that you can have to leverage in order to drive adoption toward those features so that more of your customers will renew. But we're able to track all of the engagement across all the sites and all the applications and all of those things. And it's very helpful. But we're also able to take a broad view of what's happening with all of our users with Infinity. So the reporting and analytics capabilities of Infinity enables us to see at a glance exactly what's going on with all of our web properties and all of our channels across the board. And so here what you see is a dashboard that has all the different sessions that have taken place and what's happening with specific users. Can break it down this way over time. So I can see specific users, where they're coming from, and I'm able to see exactly what they do, right? So a total of 55 views with this, this is a very limited data set, but 55 views for those 3 users, and they had 6 views per session or page visits per session. You're able to understand where they're coming in from. You're even able to understand the search criteria that they entered, any search terms that they enter, and basically collect all of this information and respond. And you're able to see here, for example, the pages that they entered on and exactly how many views of those pages you have. All of these reports are custom, so you can set these up however you want. So the dashboard is customizable. You're able to review this by campaigns. And so if I wanted to look at specific campaigns, I can see the performance of those campaigns. I'm also able to see the content groups. So individual content groups, I'm able to see exactly how many sessions for that content group. And I'm able to understand exactly how well my content is performing across all of my visitors on all of my properties. So this is helpful in being able to optimize those experiences. And you're also able to understand the path that someone takes through the site. So if you understand the path that leads to conversion, right? One of the things that Infinity can do that Eloqua doesn't do as easily is understand which pages they visited in what order. And so understanding that will help you create those experiences that cause conversion. And so if you know that someone visits this product page, and then they visit the pricing page, and then they fill out a form, well, you're going to want to put those things in front of them and personalize that experience so that you can drive those conversions that tend to those experiences that tend to result in conversion. And that's just a couple of the things that that Infinity can do. I mean, this is one of those applications where the use cases are almost limitless, and it really can get very specific to the way that you as a company go to market and the things that are important for you. But really, ultimately, it's all about the granular engagement and granular insights that you can get with it, and the fact that that data is then delivered in real time. So retargeting in minutes, personalizing immediately. And those are the kinds of things that you can do, and even in a passive way, because we're just listening for that behavior. And so you're able to see, all of the pages that someone visits, and you're able to see how much time they've spent on the pages. And this information can also be utilized in the same way. So if someone is spending a lot of time on a specific page, they're probably interested in that product. And again, setting up the reports and the listeners to listen for those specific behaviors is really straightforward. And I'll show you how that's done. So you just go into what we call the Action Center, and we can create an action. And then we can just select Send Data to Eloqua Feeder, and then it will just feed the information in to that feeder that you see here. Configuring the feeder within Eloqua is also really easy. You just click here and you can configure the feeder to utilize the data that you're looking for. So in this case, this feeder has been deleted, but you can just go in and set up exactly which information you want to utilize and how you want to use it. And so it's very, very intuitive. And that's probably the best way I can demo this, and this is the content that I have prepared to deliver today. So I'll stop there and turn it back over to you, Karin.
Okay, that's awesome, John. Thank you. And I feel bad for John. We didn't give him a lot of time. There's so much power, hopefully, you guys captured with Infinity. When I just step back and think about Infinity, I think that is one of the tools that we need as marketers to do a similar experience to what, say, Amazon does, where they are super responsive. They know quickly how to recommend the next products to you. It's that experience of near real time, knowing my interests, speaking very personalized to me. If I just looked at a pair of red pants to maybe highlight another brand that has cool red pants, or if I'm shopping for Sojourn to get a new CRM system, that it's going to have applicable information that's very specific to, hey, we see that you showed interest in our, I don't know, Oracle Sales Cloud CRM, whatever it might be. But to me, that's what's needed. Like Eloqua, like John said, can only go so far with respect to doing that super granular, close to real-time marketing. I mean, it's using real-time data. So, and it doesn't take long at all for that feeder from Infinity to get into Eloqua. It's like seconds sometimes, depending on the day, minutes other times. It's not like a half an hour you should be waiting for your campaign to trigger off of it and send, say, an email out or retarget somebody on Facebook or LinkedIn or wherever. So we didn't have a lot of questions. This is the first Eloqua User Group meeting. We haven't had questions come through the Q&A. However, a few people asked questions in the chat. I think we've answered those. So we'll end a little bit early. I really want to thank Tamina and John for taking the time to prepare and to take the time now to do these presentations with us. And does anybody want to ask a question? I can make sure that you can be unmuted or type it in. We'll give it just a minute and then we'll call it a day. All right. And this is what I imagine you guys looking like. Maybe.
That's exactly what I look like.
That's John in gold over there. All right, there are no questions and some people are leaving, so I will take the sign and end this call. So thank you guys very for sticking around, for joining. I hope everybody has a great rest of your Thursday and weekend, and stay safe and healthy, folks.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.